Join me in welcoming Bruce Howland from the Department of Labor to talk about apprenticeships.
I'm a mover when I speak, so pardon me. Okay, good morning. Thanks for inviting me down here. I live up around Springfield. Drove down last night, thankful. They're getting like 3 inches up in Springfield area on the snow. So, yeah, I'm here to explain a little bit. I have personally done 4 apprenticeships, and according to the Department of Labor, I'm the most apprentice that they would know that's a journeyman now. My first 2 apprenticeships was in the United States Navy. I did one for welding and one for pipe fitting. When I retired from the Navy, I had to go out and get a real job, and I became a plumber. So I took a plumber's apprenticeship. It was 10,000 hours, and retired as a union plumber to take this job. And as I took this job, they was changing how they was decided to go through apprenticeship programs, and I became one of their apprentices as apprenticeship training representative. So that was my 4th one. So I know a little bit about the apprenticeships. I know how to work with the employers. I know how to work with the apprentices. I know how to work with the companies that own some of the employers. So we can work together. And then in the last few years, they've decided that community colleges would be a really good partner. So we have had that new finger that they call an intermediary. So they're not really the hire or fire or anything like that, it's the employer. You'll go through them to help get your program set up, but they offer you that related training and instruction that you need. This is a new approved slideshow that they came up with, but I'm going to go to the stuff that's more important for what we're trying to do today. There's some of the major companies that are involved in the apprenticeships right now, and they found it that they needed to have something that was also pretty solid state to get interest into their companies, and then want them to stay with their companies. So some of the benefits for the employers, you can read what's up there. Anybody that's attending this today can have this PowerPoint. It can answer a lot of questions, but if you go to apprenticeship.gov, you can get about anything you need. We don't do the paper handouts anymore because of the trying to save on paper and trees, and we're trying to be green, but you can go online and find about anything you need. So for some of the employees or employers, they was wanting to know what was the benefit for them doing it. First, they get structured training. They get structured related instruction, and once that you invested into your people, your employees, they found that they want to stay with your company because now they was actually trained to do something. They didn't just come in and take the bottom of the barrel job. They wanted to move up in your ladder, but they needed to know how to do it. So this has worked for them. In the last, 2020, brand new, in the last year, the legislation went through to get a tax credit in Illinois. So that is another interest to a lot of the employers. When you start working with me, you're going to get all this information sent to you. You're going to get like a dummy set of standards. It's going to come to you, you get to review it. You're going to see how we laid out the program, and you're going to get this information on the taxes. So with the size audience we have today, the diversity, I'm going to kind of go through things quickly, but I really, if you want more information, you'll have my information at the end of this. So for the jobs, if you're a seeker trying to find employment, you might be searching for a certain occupation, and because this region is different than where I live, that's where the intermediary comes in. They would know who was in this area, but if you're young enough and you thinking about maybe moving to a different area or even a different state, one of the good things about the apprenticeship is this credential that you end up earning from us can go across state borders. It used to be per state, and now it could go into all 50 states. Benefits for the educators: one, you're getting your students to come to your facilities, but also the benefit is now you're outreaching into your community. You're also working with groups, partners, and we all need each other to come together. And it used to be so, everybody was singular, that it was hard to make these connections. But now it's really working out great having the community colleges involved. So for veterans, show of hand, any veterans in here? Thanks for your service. You can use your GI Bill as you're doing this. So even if you was to go through the school system and then maybe be working for your company, your GI Bill still pays that company to pay you. So you're making a little bit more than anybody else would because there's a stipend in there. Okay. Now they wanted to start expanding apprenticeships, so President Trump had to outdo President Obama, and you know that's the way it is. We got to do better. We got to give more money. Well, we out here, we appreciate the money. It's really been helping out a lot on serving our purpose. So again, you can go to this website, apprenticeship.gov, and it explains a lot about this. Trying to search for a video that, well, I guess it's not in here anymore, but there's a slide that gives us the 5 parts. The 5 parts to the apprenticeship program is that you have an employer, that you have the apprentice, which is being paid a wage, and you will have a certificate for a graduation, and there's a credential that falls in place for the employer, and then there's a related training and instruction. So there's 5 pieces to this, and it all comes together once you tell me what occupation you want. So if you was to say that I have Joe's Welding out here, but I need a welder, you can contact the college and find out if they have somebody that's in class, and they can probably partner you up with that person. At the same time, during an apprenticeship, you can find out whether this person's going to work out for you or not work out for you. So that's the thing, they're coming in at a lower pay scale, but they will have a graduated pay scale as they go up and learn more competencies. So there's 3 types of programs. There's time-based, which the unions have used for 85 years, where you're going to go in, you're going to start at year 1, and say if you're an electrician, it'll be a 4-year apprenticeship. If you're a plumber, you're going to do a 5-year apprenticeship. And it's based on 2,000 hours a year, so it's going to be 10,000 hours for that plumber. And each year, you end up getting a pay raise as you learn more and more and more. So in the college world, you call them certificates. We call them credentials, and you would still just keep building yourself up the more that you got educated. So the next is called competencies, and they take away the time limit, because Billy over here may be pretty sharp and start moving right up that ladder and grasping onto things, but Jimmy over here, he's not quite getting it, but he may get another part of it. So you let them go at their pace, and then they can move on as they move on. You don't hold anybody back. So then once the competencies are all caught up, that's how you would finish out your apprenticeship. That's also how they earn more money. So the carrot's kind of dangled out there that you're interested in learning more. And then the third type is a hybrid, and that is a little bit of both. Some of the employers gave feedback to the federal government and said, listen, the competencies, they just can't be done in 2 years because, you know, got a little rocket scientist sitting over here and he's grasping onto it, but now he can't go out and do the work on his own. So they're doing a little bit of both. They're still having to do time in the field, and they're having to do the competencies at their pace. So that would be a hybrid program. I'd say 75% of my programs are timed, and that is just because they've seen how it works over the years, and it works. So the newer two are the competency and the hybrid. Joy, is there anything else that you'd like me to speak on? I'll take real quick questions if somebody has a quick question. Otherwise, I will yield my time to somebody else.
PowerPoint in that apprenticeship right now.
Yes, ma'am. You can get a copy of that as soon as this meeting's over. I'll let George get to it. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, so moving on, we're probably running a little bit ahead of schedule. I'm not sure. Okay. Robert Rulem is running a little bit late, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start with Allison and ask a few questions. I'm going to let her explain a little bit about her business and what they do, and talk about how she got involved in the apprenticeship program. So Allison, if you would, kind of tell a little bit about your program and explain how you got started.
Okay, well, Phoenix Modular Elevator is a manufacturer in Mount Vernon. We make modular elevators. So we weld these prefabricated elevator shafts horizontally, and then we assemble all the elevator components, the car and the lights and the doors and buttons and everything, and we put it inside the shaft. And we ship those all over the country, US and Canada, and install them. So it's a fast way to get an elevator, either in a new construction building or retrofit. We've let me see, the modular elevators were invented back in the mid-90s. We have been Phoenix Modular Elevator for about 10 years. Apprenticeship program. So we do factory work, we are a factory, but we got our elevator contractor license when we started up as Phoenix, and realized with the intent just to be manufacturing elevators. There are actually a fair number of elevators in Southern Illinois, and they were interested in having a local service company that could fix their elevators and maintain them. And so to do that, we have to have a licensed elevator mechanic. So we hired one. Actually, someone moved down from Chicago, and then we started training people internally because our business has grown. And so what we did almost 3 years ago, we have one apprentice who's just about to finish. He was a drywaller. Actually, he started. Hopefully, he'll be here. Today is a work day, but I thought he was going to leave work and come here. I should have offered to pick him up. He actually started off as a drywaller. His dad worked for us, and he was in high school and came in on a Saturday when we were working some overtime. We ended up hiring him on. We had taught him some of the assembly, so he kind of moved up and was doing some wiring, but it's factory wiring, not really troubleshooting. But he seemed to have a real aptitude for it, but needed some additional training beyond what we could just do. And so to speed that up, we got involved with ICAT. No acronyms, but they like have it. We're a little company, and so we don't have the resources to just go out and create an apprenticeship program. And so we did it under their umbrella, and it's a combined, it's 3 years of schooling that comes out with the industrial maintenance and electronics degree, and there's some extra stuff ICAT does with it. So we actually had a process within our company where we allowed people to apply for the apprenticeship. 4 people were interested. We did some testing. We picked Aaron, and then signed him up with the schooling and the apprenticeship, and then so he works 3 days a week, goes to school 2 days a week, and every semester it's a little bit different. But we've put him out in the field getting training, and the schooling really gave him a lot of theory stuff on the electrical in particular that then makes the elevator stuff make sense. So it really has been a good mix of here's how electronics work, here's what all these different circuits are in the elevator, and applying those, and that's really been a good thing. So we are currently, now that Rend Lake has, I don't know the right words for it, but you have the ability to be that umbrella. The ICAT wasn't, it had some extra stuff in machining and these extra tests that really gave us no value. And so what would work better for us is an elevator mechanics specific apprenticeship. Again, we're a small company, we got 40 people, we don't have the resources to do that, but we're working with Rend Lake right now because they've got that umbrella working with the DOL, and so we're putting together a program, a competency-based, well, are we doing hybrid? Which one does it count as? Yeah, it's more hybrid, so a combination, because we have some people with good industrial maintenance background need all the elevator stuff, and so we'll put them, they'll have more competencies, and then we may run some more people through a fuller program like Aaron did. So that's what we're working on now.
We'll go ahead and Bob or Tanya, if you want to talk a little bit about Continental.
It's fair. Do you want to start? You already first? Or you can give the background and come in. You can go
Well, Continental started in Melbourne in 1974. We started under General Tire, and then in 1988, Continental bought us out. We are a manufacturer of passenger and light truck and commercial tires. We do approximately 30,000 to 40,000 passenger tires per day and 10,000 truck tires per day. We cover 140 acres under roof. We employ around 3,700 people. And we have currently approximately,
We have currently 15 apprentices in the program, so that's the number we try to target. So as soon as somebody's graduating, and we have a big graduation group in May, Ashley is one of them, and we're looking forward to that. So as soon as people graduate, we replace them, we add new people to the team, to the apprenticeship team. I think one thing that you could mention is when my history with Con started 9 years ago, and when I started at the company, I thought that tires just made of rubber. It's an injection molding, and that's it. But being at the company means also learning the full process, and that there's much more than just rubber in the tire. So what we do with the apprentices is we give them the chance to see multiple departments. It's difficult to cover everything because the production process is pretty complex. But with that, we try to give them the chance to get experience in multiple departments, see if they lean more towards the electrical or the mechanical side of the industrial electronics and maintenance technology program. So by that, they are kind of cross-trained, and our main target is definitely troubleshooting machines. So our maintenance department is the department that keeps the machines running and keeps the production up. So that's what our apprenticeship program is really targeting, is to train our apprentices on both sides and give them the chance to find the right way for themselves where they see theirs. And I did my homework. I started last year, so I didn't know when we started with the apprenticeship program, but I did my homework yesterday. So we started late of 2013, so almost 7 years ago. I think the first group was just 3 or 4 apprentices, and by now we have 50 graduates and 15 in the program right now. So starting to hire 5 more for June. So yeah, it's running.
All right, Robert's joined us now from North American Lighting, so we'll let him go ahead and talk a little bit about them and their apprenticeship programs, and then we'll go back through with employers and ask additional questions.
Sorry for the late entry, guys. With the weather coming up from Paris, Illinois, it took a little bit longer than I expected. So, North American Lighting, corporate headquarters out of Paris, Illinois. We have a manufacturing facility in Paris as well, and then right here in Salem, and 30 miles away from Salem there in Florida, are our 3 Illinois facilities. And we had the need back in 2014, 2015 to fill a skills gap with our technician group. We had a lot of them get ready to retire, a little bit of turnover there, and trying to decide how are we going to fill this gap, and decided that we really needed to try and grow our own. And after several attempts at training programs, kind of quick 8, 9, 10-week boot camps with local area colleges. We went ahead and decided to go the apprenticeship route. And Rend Lake came on board with us back in 2016. We had 4 students at that time, 2 here at Rend Lake and 2 over at Ole Central. That's what kind of kicked off our apprenticeship program. Since then, we've added apprentices every year. We've got the 2 that graduated from Rend Lake last year for our first cohort graduate, and then we've got several in the program now that will be graduating next summer. Started off with 4, continue to grow our apprenticeship program across all of our facilities. We have facilities at all our manufacturing, or apprentices at all our manufacturing facilities, to include Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Started off with 4 back in 2016. We are 23 strong right now with 4 graduates. So continue to move forward with this. It's actually been great for North American Lighting. We see the return on investment on this early on. Honestly, our biggest issue with our apprentices is the floor wants to take them on sooner than they're going to be allowed to. Typically in year 2 of the program, halfway through or so, they start asking, hey, can we give these guys a full-time spot? Can we go ahead and make these guys full-time employees? And I gotta say, wait a minute. You'll hear more about that when you get down to Chad Morris down there. So, gotta hold up. They have a commitment with the college side of things, and we wanna make sure this program continues to be successful. So we kinda have to hold them off a little bit from taking on the apprentices a little too early. But it's been a great program. We're happy to be on board. We continue to grow it. And the great thing with the apprenticeships, the colleges are more than willing to work with us with what we need. Open lines of communication with the colleges. If there's a need, if there's a specific class you're looking for, if something's not quite getting trained the way you feel it needs to be trained, the college is more than happy to accommodate and adjust. But the employee has their piece of the puzzle as well. On-the-job training is a huge part of it. So great to be on board, and we appreciate Rend Lake College.
For the students in the room, can you guys talk about how they would seek out an opportunity with you? Your selection process for apprentices?
Yeah, for North American Lighting, we actually start taking resumes early on. We'll probably kick off towards the end of March, first part of April, start taking resumes for the positions. We're bringing on 3 across the board to all our facilities this year, so there's plenty of opportunity for getting into the program. We'll go ahead and start interviewing probably towards the end of April. We try to make those selections before school lets out in May, only because once school lets out, they're kind of hard, students are hard to track down. They're on summer break, they're hard to get a hold of. We typically don't start our positions until school kicks off in August, so it gives the student an opportunity to kind of take the summer off. And then when August hits, first year in school, they're starting with us as an apprentice.
Bob or Tanya?
Pretty soon on. So we are accepting resumes right now. We actually are already in the application and interview process for the apprenticeship program, or for the next 5 slots in the positions we want to fill, and we plan on starting the program in June. So give the students that are new in the program the first chance to take some summer classes to get used to the college, or those who are already enrolled take their summer classes on our bill, so we pay the tuition and get started with us, especially because the summer is a good chance to get the first insights into the workspace. We are a big facility, there's a lot to see and a lot to learn, and we realize that starting a couple of weeks full-time or almost full-time helps kind of find your way through and get settled down in the company as well.
On the other end of the spectrum, because we're not a big company with a formal program, most of our considerations for elevator mechanic, for helpers, and then to get into the apprenticeship program have been internal candidates. And so one way is to get a foot in the door and apply for our entry-level job, which is on our enclosure team, which puts drywall on elevator shafts. And we see real quick who works hard and who shows up to work every day and who has aptitudes for more mechanical things, and then we promote from within typically. We did hire one person that came in who was completing college and just sent a resume blind. I mean, we look at applications and resumes and look for for potential there as well. So if you've got some demonstrated ability in auto mechanics or things like that, we do look for work experience because that work ethic is very important and critical. So we did hire someone, or we were going to, and they did not pass their drug test. So that is a requirement to make sure that you do that as well. But so we do take people from the outside and consider them.
Okay. Would you mind telling them a little bit more about the investment that you have for the students? Some of you will do tuition, some of them are paid to come to school, some of them, their steps, but a little bit more about the way that works.
So we pay for tuition and books, and then the days that our apprentices are in school, we pay $40 stipend for every day that they come. So it's typically $80 a week, and then the other 3 days they're working and they get paid their wage.
I'm going to cover the financials too. It's interesting that the non-native speaker actually was speaking out from Germany, so I'm still looking. Okay. So yeah, we pay for the tuition. So tuition is covered by us. Rend Lake sends the nice invoices to us directly. The only thing that the students have to take care of is books and lab costs. That's the minority of costs. For the days the students work, we pay them $50 an hour, so it's a regular part-time position. So we also offer part-time benefits, part-time vacation time, all these things. We let our apprentices work up to 28 hours during college, and I have to say that college classes always have priority, so we work around the schedule. That's very important because we do expect good grades, so we have to give the students the time to achieve that. And so that's the timing and also the wage that we pay.
We follow much the same program that what Phoenix follows. We also do 3 days of work, 3 days a week in work environment, 2 days a week in school, with an hourly wage, progressive hourly wage within the company for the hours worked, and then we also pay the stipend at $40 a day for the days they come to class. So again, typically $80 a week just for coming to class, and then anywhere from 24 to 32 hours, depending on if they work Saturday or not, in wages. We also pay books, fees, all tuition. We get invoiced directly from the college. Student doesn't see anything out of pocket whatsoever. And then that's about the gist of it.
This next question, we can kind of wrap up in two things here. Maybe explain for employers in the audience advice that you would have if they're going to be seeking to do apprenticeships, maybe some barriers that you had to overcome or mindsets.
Just some advice. You got to be real open to it. You're not going to see an ROI very early on. It is an investment. It kind of starts off a little slow and it's not something you're used to. Students are getting used to taking care of classes as well as the work schedule. We also, school is priority for us as well. So any classes they've got, any additional time they might need off for a test study or something of that nature, come and let us know, and we allow for that. We do require a B average or better, so if a student falls below that B average, we do work with them, give them some additional help. The college works with us to get them additional help, try and bring that back up. We haven't had an issue with that yet. One of the big questions that's always asked of me, and I'm guessing the majority of the people in here interested in joining an apprenticeship are probably either early on in college or coming out of high school. But I know Chad Morris is one of them, but he wanted to know, hey, do I have to be a recent high school graduate? And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, no, we don't really have a stipulation for that. I mean, we gear it towards high school seniors and early college students, but it's not necessarily a requirement. And he goes, and I don't think he'll care, but he's like, well, I'm 30 years old, and I'm interested in this. And I'm like, good for you. Apply for it, come on in, we'll interview you, we'll see what happens. And he's finishing up his second year now, so he's doing well.
I would like to add to that, the age discrimination, it's not in the apprenticeship program. I was 40 years old when I started the plumbers. And a lot of people that see me at the job were like, why are you just starting? Well, for 20 years, I was in the Navy, and I was doing about the same thing. But when I retired, I had to come up with a new career. And so the age thing, I always like that, to hear that, because you're never too young to learn again. I didn't want to, but it was pretty easy because it was hands-on. That's what I liked about apprenticeships. I didn't have to sit there and be a book study type of person. So over the years, I've earned enough money to have a college degree, but I wasn't the person that came to the brick and mortar college. It was because I was out in the field. You had to learn the math, things like that. That's part of that related training instruction. So it all comes together, but you may not realize that doing an apprenticeship, that's how it works. I like the 30-year-old deciding he's going to step out because he's going to move up in that company. I can tell you that right now because he's already taken that initiative. So, thank you.
Should I just say Tanya or Bob Williams?
At Continental, we've had real good success with the apprentices, and like the other companies, we'll take them, from 19, 20, all the way up to 50 or 60. We found that some of the older people that comes into the apprentices, they already have their mind made up, they're committed, they show up, they're a very dedicated individual. So we've had real good luck with the apprenticeship program.
And just to add, because I think the question was geared towards what might be challenges or obstacles to work on. I think one is, and that might also be because of the size of our company, training an apprentice is a little different than training somebody that's coming in as a new hire, because they are there 40 hours, they're there, I don't know, Monday through Friday, and it's easy to keep track of what they're doing and where they are. With the apprentices, we kind of float them around, because if they have classes from Monday through Thursday, they work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever we're running 24/7. So it's a little more difficult to keep track of the training and make sure that they learn what we expect them to learn. And that's also, I can always encourage the apprentices also to invest and to ask if they need more training or if they see a gap somewhere, because it is definitely a lot of initiative from the apprentices as well and the willingness to learn. So that's what we definitely expect from the candidates that we hire.
So when we set it up, our biggest challenge probably is we're this small company, we don't have a big department to set up a formal training program and that. And so we picked ICAT, and it took a little bit up front to understand their program and see what programs Rend Lake had and kind of come up with what is this going to look like for our apprentice. And in retrospect, and after being in it for a couple of years, we said that probably wasn't the best fit for us. But I mean, you guys are still doing ICAT, right? So it's not a bad program, it just, for our purposes, wasn't that. And so I think my advice, or how we would do it, is how we're looking at doing it now, and working with them on a specific apprenticeship program. Of course, you didn't have that DOL umbrella thing at the time. But Rend Lake will craft like whatever. In fact, we're going to work with them on creating some elevator-specific education that obviously isn't in the curriculum, but some additional schooling that we need that isn't OJT stuff, and they're very willing to be flexible and do that. And I will say we have a 52-year-old that's going to be our next apprentice, I think. And we're going to do this competency-based hybrid thing because he's got excellent mechanical, electrical skills. He does maintenance in the plant. He wires things up. Just lacks that elevator stuff. He's motivated to do it because he's going to go from a $20 an hour job to a $40 an hour job. So there's not a, and if we get 5 or 10 good years out of him, that's a good return. Because elevator mechanics they're expensive, but they're very specialized and skilled, and there's a big demand out there for people to fix elevators, and so it will help our company grow. So it's worth that investment.
And just to touch base on something they were talking about, Tanya was talking about it a lot as far as your attendance and grades and things like that. If you are a part of the apprenticeship program with Rend Lake College, please know that the company does have access and will request your attendance and your grades because it is a part of their program. They kind of see the way you're attending here and the effort you're putting in here as a result of what you're also going to do in the workplace for that.
thing is a challenge, and I think Robert kind of touched on this, but as they start to get more skilled, it is a real challenge to, they're gone 2 days a week, and it's like, dang it. We love the summers and the winter breaks, it's like, oh, we got them full time, and we're putting them to work and they're doing things. So that is an impulse you have to control to, you know, let the program work through, because they end up getting skilled and smarter, and you eventually get them.
Okay, so we'll take this opportunity now, if anybody in the audience has got some questions that they would like to ask for an employer panel.
What about you have someone with a disability and such as being deaf and reading and interpreter, would you cover that expense as well?
Yeah, someone with a disability, if you have somebody with a disability, as far as deaf and interpreter, is that additional expenses that they're covered?
If you signed up to the Department of Labor, it's required. Part of the Disabilities Act.
Yeah, so we do have people with disabilities in the plant. I'm not sure if one of them is working in the apprenticeship program. I don't think so, but that's not a burden that we wouldn't have.
For Phoenix Health Leaders, do you guys need more technicians or welders right now?
We are always looking for competent, skilled people. So, again, we don't have this specific number that we're trying to put through, but our service business is growing, and the more mechanics we can get, the more we can grow that. So if we find someone with good skills, we'll look at them. We hire people from the outside. The guy, the 52-year-old I talked about, we hired him a year ago to come in, and he's doing some assembly, and then he's doing plant maintenance, and he just seemed like a really good fit for that. So we take cold call or cold applications, whatever you call those, and resumes for consideration.
Do you guys do 401k contributions in your?
We participate in the Illinois Secure Choice, which is a Roth IRA. We currently do not have a company match.
That's my question for NAL and Continental, is what skilled areas are you looking for? Is it a specific certificate, degree? What do you have now that maybe in the future? What areas of study, I guess?
With North American Lighting, the focus is mechatronics. So motor controls, PLCs, electrician, that hands-on. We don't do a whole lot of welding. We don't do a whole lot of machining. Within the program, however, our technicians are it's a very wide position as far as skill set. Depending on where you work in the facility, you might have a molding technician, a coatings technician, or an assembly technician. They each have their own kind of skill set. So with the mechatronics program, that kind of gives you an overall umbrella of a whole lot of different skill sets. And then the on-the-job training portion of it, wherever they're going to focus their work on within the company, is what kind of elaborates the specific skill sets that we're looking for. So we always work real close with Rend Lake College to sequence the classes that we're taking, so that as they're taking a class in PLC control, we're focusing on PLCs from the company as well, so they can go ahead and utilize those skills as soon as they're learning in the classroom, and that tends to stick a little more as far as them learning it and understanding the concept behind it.
So as I mentioned before, our apprenticeship programs are targeting the maintenance department. So we have electrical and mechanical technicians, as well as we call multi-craft or mechatronics. So people that can kind of do both and favor both. And that's what we foster with the industrial electronics and maintenance technology degree here in Rend Lake. I would say that also our focus is more on the electrical side. And that's maybe because from speaking to the applicants, we realize that the mechanical side most likely comes more natural to them, so we don't have to do much on that side. So I think the majority definitely, or the focus definitely lies on the electrical side.
And after a student completes an apprenticeship, is there a commitment to the company that they have to make to you to remain employed, or a certain number of hours to complete their commitment?
Yeah, so our program runs most likely 2 years, so we want them to stay for 2 years. If they don't, they have to pay partially their tuition reimbursement back, but to be honest, we only have one case where somebody left us to pursue another major at another college, so far we didn't really have to use that, and I'm happy for it. So all the apprentices who graduated stayed with us, so yeah, it works.
Our apprenticeship program is considered a 5-year program. The first 3 years is a hybrid school work schedule. They're going to school 2 days a week, working 3 days a week. It takes about 3 years to get that degree completely finished. Once they graduate from the college, at that point, they're considered a full-time employee. But we do ask for 2 more years beyond full-time employment as a return to the company for taking care of tuition, books, and fees. We do ask that if somebody does leave within that first 2 years, there is some payback. If you leave within the first year after graduating college, we do ask for 100% payback of tuition and fees. That second year, that backs off to 50% payback, and then once you finish your second year with the company, you're free to take your resume and go wherever else you want to go. However, we also have not had that issue yet. Everybody that has started the apprenticeship program with us, again, we've only had 4 graduates so far, but all 4 are very happy with where they're at. They're doing very, very well. The company's very happy with their performance, and we haven't had to deal with that.
We have the same thing, 2-year commitment or payback tuition, basically.
Good questions. Any other questions for the employer panel? I'm going to assume there wouldn't be any issue as far as if they'd like to come out and tour, maybe talk to and see. If you haven't seen North American Lighting or Phoenix, I know a lot of you are familiar with Continental and stuff, but they're pretty cool organizations to go out and see also, that they can reach out and set up a time to come in. All right. Anything you all want to add that we didn't cover for employers? Okay, we're going to let Joy then move on to the student panel.
Okay, so at the beginning of the presentation, I said I am the CTE support specialist. What I do is I work directly with the apprentices to ensure that they have the courses that they need, that are required by the employer. They've completed those. I also pass on information to the employers about their grades, how they're doing in class. If they're struggling in a certain area, we work with them to try and get tutoring services for them to help them with those courses. So I have a few questions that I wanted to ask of our apprentices because I want you to get their perspective on how the program is working for them. So first of all, I'll start with Ashley. I want you guys to explain like how you learned about the apprenticeship program and why did you choose to become an apprentice?
So I started out, I'm again non-traditional. I kind of had a change of heart after I got my first degree and worked and things like that, and I decided that's not what I wanted to do. So I went back to school, and I kind of heard from some friends about the apprenticeship through Continental, but I went ahead and started in classes first. So I got through my first 3 semesters. I did the summer, fall, and spring, and then I had interviewed and got into Continental. And with the apprenticeship, it's nice because you can learn the basics in a classroom, but what you can take those basics and apply it to your actual field whenever you're at work. So you can learn just how a basic circuit works, and then you can take it to work and say, okay, this is how it applies, and it looks completely different from what you learned in the classroom. But the classroom is a perfect world situation, where in the field it's completely different. It's you can study all day, but something A to Z will change, and that's not something they can teach you in the classroom. So the apprenticeship actually helps you to understand and apply the skills the basics that you've learned. And the apprenticeship has fueled my learning capabilities to exceed what I could have done had I just stuck with school and then gone into my field as an already graduated, saying, hey, let's do this, it kind of knocked me down a peg. Like I learned that I didn't know anything whenever I went into work. So being able to be in the apprenticeship has instilled the confidence that yes, I can do this, but I have kind of a cushion under me. This is where I'm allowed to fail because I'm not on my own. So being able to have that experience has been above and beyond what I was even looking for whenever I started school. And it's been a great opportunity to go through and learn and reaffirm that this was the right decision for myself.
So my background, excuse me, I was living in California, never really working with my hands or anything like that. As far as I was always a business guy, salesman, bill collector, always working in the office, that sort of thing. Always getting bored though, sitting on my butt, working behind the desk. And I wanted to move out here, be closer to the family and stuff. And school's never really an option for me as far as either I didn't want to or I got old and just didn't have the resources to be able to do so. And as I was looking to come out here, my cousin actually had sent me a flyer saying, hey, maybe you want to check this out, get yourself started in the company and move up your way like that. So I had sent Robert a message and thinking I was too old to even try for this. Didn't imagine going back to school, couldn't imagine learning again. And he accepted me and hired me on. And so doing this program, it's kind of just opened up some doors, and I wish I could have had this opportunity and experience at a younger age when I was first coming out of college, or out of high school, I'm sorry. It just, gives you a track in life to be able to grow on. It's a slow-paced learning and working environment, so you don't have the pressure of having to go to a job and learning that job right away and having a fear of being fired within 90 days or whatever if you can't comprehend it real quick. Through the ICAP program, that it's 3 years to learn, so they do give you that time to learn all your schooling and learn your career at the same time. So it's just been more of just a nice slow pace for me and a good change of life, and I couldn't be happier.
I think that's very well said. I wish Aaron was here to talk to you guys today. Aaron came to us. I actually registered Aaron for classes, and when he walked through the door the first time, he was a little bit timid about going back to school. He didn't think he could do it. Hopefully he doesn't care that I'm sharing his experience, but I met with him a few weeks ago because he's getting ready to graduate this spring as well. And the confidence level in him is so much higher than when he first walked through that door. And I'm so proud that he has gained that confidence through Rend Lake College and through doing the apprenticeship program with me at Accelerator. Yes, please add.
We can both speak for him since he didn't show up. He actually, when we have manufacturing day and people come through, he's one of the people that will talk, and he will say, I barely made it through high school. Like, I sucked at school. And so he was very worried about it. But he has, the career, the CTE stuff is different. It's hands-on and things like that. And his grades have been higher in that than they've been in the general ed stuff. But if you're one of the students here who's kind of like, yeah, I don't think college is for me, he's a good example that it's different than high school, especially with this apprenticeship thing. It's different types of classes, hands-on learning that may just help you to grasp on and blossom too.
And to add to that as well, most of our CTE courses, they have lab component with that, what that means is that you're actually doing things with your hands in the classroom. It's not strictly book learning. And I think a lot of students that didn't do well in high school may think that college is not for them because they are more of a hands-on learner, so career technical education is a great choice. So back to our apprentices, I want to ask Ashley and Chad, what advice would you give students who are interested in an apprenticeship program, and what is the #1 benefit for you?
The advice that I would give students that are looking into getting into an apprenticeship program is don't think, just do. It's something that it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kind of speak. You won't find a better opportunity to be able to have the stress of not having to worry about tuition, books, fees. It is a huge stress relief, and just having the insurance and security in the back of your mind that you got a job, that you're going to have a career. They're all great companies around here, and they've been around a while, and they're going to continue to be around for a while. So it's something that, even if something were to happen, it's a degree that you have, and it's something they can't take away from you. It's something you can always have with you as you go on throughout your life and your career. And you can't put a price tag on an education for that.
I know I personally have quite a few learning disabilities in reading and writing, so being in the CTE side of everything has been nice because I know that there are, if I don't understand something, there's routes to get help, to get a tutor, things like that. But having the degree that I'm in, being hands-on, it's more, I hate to say it's more logical, but it's almost like a puzzle. You can work to figure things out. If one thing doesn't try, you can try something else. So it was definitely nice knowing that, yes, you do have some general components to it that is required by college to get the degree. But all of the hands-on stuff has been like a big puzzle. It's been fun. It's nice to gain the understanding of how different systems work, and I have absolutely no regrets getting into the apprenticeship because, like I said, it's been a chance to learn and to grow my skills that I've learned in school.
And then the final question, this is kind of putting a feather in Rend Lake College's hat, because we know we're great. Sorry about that. We know we're great, but I want to hear from Ashley, Chad, and our employers why they think Rend Lake College is a great choice to work with in apprenticeships.
The availability to talk to anybody has been nice. If you have any kind of struggles, they will work with you and find a route for you to succeed. They will never leave you hanging. They will, if there is any conflicts with either schedules. And I had a baby last semester, so I'm definitely one of those people that I came to class, I still showed up, I put in my part, but whenever it came time to actually, life happens, they understand that, so they will work with you to make sure that you do not get off track. They will make sure that everything, if you put in your part, they will meet you 100%. So it's nice to have that hand-in-hand ability to know you can talk to somebody and get the help you need.
What I've liked about Rend Lake so far, again, they are very, they'll communicate with you and work with you on if you need adjustment to your schedule. Sometimes they might, put one too many classes on your schedule, and they'll work a way to maybe move that class to a different part of your semester, part of the degree. What I've also liked about Rend Lake so far is it's like the same group of people. When you're going through the program, you're dealing with the same instructor a lot of times, and you get a familiarity. So every time you start a new semester, you're not feeling like you're trying to learn a new group of people, a new teacher. You kind of know the style. You just kind of all grow and go through the program together, and that's what I kind of like. It's more unity, and you're not on the first day of school. you're already used to everything. You're used to the teachers and the people in your classes, so it's kind of takes some stress off in that regards.
Why we like Rend Lake? They treat us like we're important even though we're small. You know, they're willing to make a custom program, custom classes, just work with us, come and visit us, talk to us, whatever, do whatever we need to fulfill our needs.
Working with Rend Lake has been real easy. The communication between our employees, the apprentices, and the college worked out real well. The communication between Tanya, myself, and some of the other supervisors with the college, with the creation of certain classes, or if we have a process change, machine change, we've worked with them. We've got simulators for proprietary equipment. That's worked out real well. Any issues that come up that we see that needs to be addressed, we can contact either Joy or Gabby or even the instructors or Terry, and we get a fast response and the corrective action is done on time. So our experience with Rend Lake has been great.
I'd say flexibility. Rend Lake College is extremely easy to work with. If we have to make some adjustments in curriculum, they're quick to respond. They've taken care of whatever needs we might have. We actually reached out to Rend Lake College back in late fall with the need for a different type of apprenticeship. We wanted to have a tool and die apprentice within our tool and die room. And they put something together, got us going, and we started that student in January of mid-year. So they've always worked well with us. I think back in 2016, when we first came on board Rend Lake with an apprenticeship, I know Continental had been with them for a few years, but apprenticeship was still relatively new to both sides of it. And if you look at their brochure, if you know anything about Rend Lake now, they've got 20-ish or so registered programs now, different fields you can go into. So I know you hear a lot about the technician side of things, the mechanical side of things up here, but there's so much more out there as far as apprenticeships and registered apprenticeships, where you get a Department of Labor certificate along with it here at Rend Lake College.
The reason I've liked working with them is the same thing. It's small. When I met Terry, he was in blue jeans. Normally I'm in blue jeans, but today I got dressed up a little bit to be nice for the people. But growing up on a farm and being able to, just step out with 4-H. Started out with the small engine mechanic project and got my hands dirty. And my dad just couldn't believe that I took a motor apart and that wasn't running and got it running. So it started a long time ago that I was tearing things apart. But to work with Rend Lake, it's been real easy because it's just been communication. And they're willing to get right back to you with their answers. I try to get their answers that they're asking from me. This is new to them to become an intermediary, to take on the employers, to take on the students, but they had all the components and they're already doing it. They just weren't signed up with the Department of Labor. So this was my first program as an intermediary as a community college. Since then, I have got 4 other community colleges signed up. It seems to me too, now that they have signed up, they're tending to get a lean towards grant money and things like that to help expand their training programs, to help you expand what your needs are as an employer or as a student, what's not in that lab. If they get federal money, it can help them build that lab to a bigger point. So it's been real easy to work with them, and I appreciate the opportunity that they gave me.
Thank you all. I'm going to turn it over to Gabby, and Chris Sink is our industrial electronics and maintenance instructor. I believe he is going to say a few words as well.
When we talk about what's great about Rend Lake College and stuff, we mentioned instructor stuff. We happen to have one in the room with us, Chris Sink, and he currently on campus runs one of the programs that has the largest participants for apprentices. So just wanted him to kind of give you a few minutes time as far as what he goes through working with apprentices, the curriculum, and some pros and cons that he sees with it going into it.
First off, I got to say that I've had all 3 of these students in class. So I've had Ashley, Chad, and Aaron as well. I can definitely say that I enjoy having the apprenticeship students in class. These are students that are, for the most part, they're career oriented. They see a goal, they know what they want to do, they know that this is the industry that they want to be in, and then they know that the things that they're learning in the classroom are going to be skill sets that they're going to be able to apply actually on the job, and a lot of times be able to apply it almost immediately. So I enjoy whenever we talk about something in class and then they go to work and they see those same issues that we talk about in class, and then they come back. And like Ashley was saying, you know, what we do in the classroom sometimes is perfect world. So we'll talk about it, we'll look at it, we'll build a circuit, and then they'll go out there and they'll see that same circuit, but it looks different. It's a lot larger, it's a lot heavier, it's a lot more different. And so they'll see a problem, they'll come back, and that's something that we can, you know, discuss and talk about in class. So those are always fun things to see as they start learning. You know, they start asking more pointed questions, things that are actually happening out there on the job site. We try really hard to work with the students. We realize that life happens, and we've done very good with that, making sure that we maintain an availability, that we can talk to students outside of class. I try to make myself as available to the students as I possibly can, because I understand those things out there occur, and sometimes their work schedule and class schedule is just different enough that it's hard for us to catch each other outside of class. So I make sure that I have a variety of opportunities for them to be able to contact me, whether that's through an app, email, phone call, text message, whatever. Most of the instructors out here are really good about that. We really try to make ourselves available to the students, because your success is our success. We want to see you be successful when you get out there.
Does anybody have any questions for the student panel or for Chris before we move on to getting started with Rend Lake? Thank you. Before we start the wrap up here, we're going to talk just a little bit about how you get started with Rend Lake College. It's kind of already been alluded to today as far as all of the approved occupations that we have. When we look at this approved occupations, if you go out to the Department of Labor's website, you will see that there's a list of occupations that are already approved. What we then do with those is we look at those, we align those with the curriculum that we have with assistance of Bruce, and then we were able then to get these programs approved. So if you look right now, kind of like Robert talked about, I think we're probably around like 18 right now. We do not have apprentices in all 18 of these programs. However, they are programs that we've had companies show interest in, so we were able to go ahead and get those approved. Now, underneath some of those programs, so if we take, for example, let's look on here, if we've got your computer programming, okay? So that's an occupation code out there, so that may be that you're doing something with, you could come in and maybe do a certificate, or you could do the AAS with it. So we've got then multiple degrees and certificates, as Joy was kind of talking about, that will fall underneath these occupational titles. So I won't go through and read all these out here too and stuff, but you can see pretty much in the CTE world, I know especially in our division, pretty much everything except the criminal justice program can be operated as an approved apprenticeship program. In the allied health, it's a little bit different because they do have some outside accrediting agencies that regulate participation and students being paid and things while they're going to school. So currently right now with the allied health, we've got that they can actually do the CNA program right now for them. Yeah, and you've got all these occupations listed in the flyer that you've got today. You have a brochure, and all of these will be listed in there also, okay? Some of the employers have talked today as far as the funding opportunities. A lot of them have some type of employer investment in it, whether it is through tuition and also being paid while you come to work. Some of it may be through reimbursement. That all varies with the company. Okay, so that would be something that you would know up front when you start with that company. Another way that's out there is the workforce investment boards. I thought Lucinda is here today. There she is. Okay, Lucinda out there from Mantricon. We have some companies up here that I know. I believe Phoenix is working with her and stuff now. What they have is there'll be some grant opportunities and things available that they can actually help on the student side and sometimes actually then help on the employer side. So those opportunities, where you start with those is I would say, you know, if you decide that you want to do a program, reach out to us. We work very closely with our workforce boards, or you can pop in there and say, hey, what's available and stuff for it, because they will definitely be able to help get some funding and stuff through that. The other opportunity are some grant opportunities, and those obviously vary. Right now, we've got one out there with the IT program that we're funding students to go through some programs with that, and obviously looking at some other grant opportunities. As Bruce has kind of talked about, some of the other ones, apprenticeships have really taken off. So more and more opportunities are out there that the students are not having that out-of-pocket expense, or not a huge out-of-pocket expense. So it means that you're entering the workforce out of college or right out of high school or later on in life without all of the debt from student loans. I'm doing that. I'll turn this part over to Joy.
Okay, so as far as getting started at Rend Lake College, if you're an employer or you are interested in becoming an apprentice, we are currently working on a website specifically for apprentice. Our marketing department is working on that. There would be an interest form on there that lists all of the apprenticeable occupations that we offer, and you can fill out an interest form. Since the website's not up and going, if you have an interest, you can contact me directly, and my contact information is also on the back of that brochure. Then you would apply to Rend Lake College, schedule an appointment to take a placement exam. And what the placement exam does, it puts you in the math and English classes that you would need for the apprenticeship program. And then finally, submit your resume, cover letter, let us know what company you're interested in. We work closely with these companies, so if you say that you're interested in an apprenticeship at Continental, I would forward that information on to Tanya, and then she would contact you, or forward it on to Robert or Allison. For businesses that are interested in starting an apprenticeship program, you can contact me, or you can contact Gabby Garner. We can look at the curriculum that you're wanting the students to get at Rend Lake College and design that for your specific business. And then the most important thing, and I don't think anyone mentioned mentors here, but you need to ensure that you have someone available at your company that can help mentor the apprentice and guide them along the way. So, if they're, in closing, if you're interested, contact me, contact Gabby Garner, and we'll be happy to get you information. So this brings us to our final portion of our events. I don't know what time it is. We're probably running a little bit ahead of time. Oh yeah. But if you have any questions for any of the employers, the apprentices, for Bruce, for Gabby, myself, Chris, the instructor, now is your time to ask. And just raise your hand if you have any questions.
I've got a question, Joy.
Okay.
I just want to applaud the employers for your willingness and seeing how important it is to invest in your workforce. I think that's phenomenal. I am curious, I know a lot of employers have expressed that it's difficult finding candidates. I've talked with a number of them. What was it? Was there anything specifically for you all that made the decision easy to embrace apprenticeship?
I think for North American Lighting, it was really out of necessity. We had tried several different ways to get qualified individuals in those positions. And we realized that it was difficult to do. So we took a grow your own approach and decided to bring on somebody that was willing to learn, willing to put the effort into it. And even if they have zero experience, to train them exactly what were needed for this particular position. As far as reaching out and getting the candidates, like she said, it seemed difficult early on. When we first started in 2016, we were looking at it in the springtime. We were very indecisive, and we weren't sure which direction we wanted to go. And then finally, unfortunately, kind of late in the game, first week of June, we decided let's go for it. Okay, but at that point, every single senior in high school has already graduated. Most of them know what they're going to do already, or if they're not sure, they're not real worried about looking at it right now because it's summertime. So we were kind of late in the game, and it was difficult to get those first few technicians, those tech apprentices started, to get the applicants in, to get individuals interviewed. But I would say since then, after learning from that mistake, as far as advertising late in the game, every year since then, we bring in all of our local area high schools for plant tours. We even go so far as to bring in our junior high students for plant tours, to get them seeing what we do early on. Most of you guys in here, I don't know if we have any parents in here, but to talk to the students is great, wonderful. They get a chance to come in and see what we do. To talk to the parents is even better, because if we can get mom or dad on board and get mom and dad to shake their head yes on this opportunity, that works wonders. 40 years ago, industry, factory work was dark, dingy, dangerous, and it kind of held on to that stigma, and it's not the case anymore. So if you get the opportunity to come see us, come in and tour the facility, look at what we do, bring mom, dad, brothers, sisters, come check us out. I think you'd be surprised.
Much like Robert, we had the same idea with bringing in the apprenticeship program. It gave us an opportunity to customize our technician. It's a growing market. It's not all mechanical anymore. It's switching a lot to electronics, and some of our processes and the equipment that we have are proprietary to us. So we've got the opportunity to introduce that with the apprenticeship program for our location. So once the advancements started taking place with the students, they was progressing faster than somebody coming off the street by being in an apprenticeship program. It was a win-win for both us and the college. So that's why we chose the apprenticeship program.
And from the hiring perspective, I can definitely say that. So we have starting dates for the summer semester and also for the spring semester. So one group's starting in June, one is starting in December. We definitely see that it's different hiring for the December group, because that's typically not the students that just finish high school and are searching for the college. And so we really have a very diverse group of apprentices, but I think that's what also makes it very interesting to have different careers, different backgrounds, different work histories. And yeah, I think it is always a challenge to find the right people, but from the ones we chose, I think we can say that we made good decisions, and by them seeing that they stay, I think that's also proven.
We posted an ad on Indeed after the first January of this year, looking for licensed elevator mechanics, and we had a whopping 3 people apply. One was a Russian who needed some visa sponsorship. One was someone currently working in the military on elevators in Iraq, unknown when he was going to be back stateside. And the third was someone in Peoria that thought he could commute. Quite frankly, there's not a surplus of trained elevator mechanics in Southern Illinois, so we have to grow our own. And the apprenticeship just gives us a method and a structure to do that, to get the schooling that accelerates the on-the-job learning.
Any other questions? Don't be shy. This is your opportunity to find everything you wanted to know about it. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, again, I would like to thank Bruce Allen from the Department of Labor for joining us today. Our panel of employers, Allison, Bob, Tanya,